A few months back, when things really weren't going the Cavaliers' way, the rumors really started up about LeBron James leaving Cleveland again. And now that he not only lost to the Warriors in the finals, but got swept, the rumors have only gotten hotter recently, leading to most people, including myself, believing that LeBron is gonna leave the Cleveland Cavaliers and find a new team that could help him win another NBA championship. So let's take a look. Whether you're a LeBron James fan or not, him changing teams can easily change the entire landscape of the NBA. But will it really happen? Is LeBron James really gonna leave his hometown team again this offseason?
Do you feel like you've played your last game for the Cavs?
I mean, I have no idea at this point. I don't have an answer for you right now as far as that.
Alright, before we go any further, that pretty much 100% confirms that he's gone. But let's still take a look at his past to see how this free agency is like the first time he left Cleveland. So in his first run in Cleveland, the man carried that Cavs team on his back for 7 years. And after management failed to team him up with any real talent, LeBron became an unrestricted free agent and headed to South Beach to team up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, which was really the start of super teams in today's NBA. But them teaming up wasn't something that just happened by chance, or something that these three guys decided on in 2010. It was something that they all got together and talked about in 2006 while they were playing for Team USA. That soon after, they all even structured their contracts so they'd all expire in 2010. And then that's when they all three teamed up together. LeBron would go on to make the finals 4 times, win 2 NBA championships, and finally, after losing to the Spurs in 2014, he would return home to the Cleveland Cavaliers to do what he promised and win them an NBA championship. And he did that in 2016. But then the next year, when Kyrie Irving demanded a trade, which eventually turned into Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, and Larry Nance Jr., you fast forward back to today, and a lot of people see LeBron in a real similar situation to his first run in Cleveland. Personally, besides LeBron, I think that Cavs team had a lot more talent than people were giving them credit for. They just weren't being used the right way. But either way, the basic opinion around the league is that the Cavs once again didn't give LeBron the talent he needed to even compete with the Golden State Warriors. So now he wants out. And for any doubters out there, there's all the evidence in the world to show that he will be changing teams this offseason. I mean, when he left the Cavs the first time, and when he left the Heat, he let the rumors happen, he didn't sign an extension, and he let himself become an unrestricted free agent before he eventually told the world that he was signing somewhere else. And that's the exact way things have gone so far this year. And then on top of all that, there's the fact that the Cavaliers screwed up the Kyrie Irving situation by getting an injured Isaiah Thomas in return, and then when that didn't work, they traded half their roster to restart things, and it still didn't work. And now, they still don't have a team that LeBron can win with, and they showed that in the playoffs and the finals. And now for the 2018 season coming up, they have a bunch of guys with overpaid contracts that's gonna make it even harder to find trades or rebuild with. I mean, they do have the 8th overall pick in the draft and Kevin Love, but besides that, there's not much to work with. So if LeBron stays, it doesn't look like his future there will be any brighter than it was this season. And he would just be staying to be the hometown hero, but I think if that was really his goal, he would have signed an extension already. The man's already fulfilled his promise and brought the Cavs a championship. It'd be a great story for him to retire with the Cavs, but besides that, it doesn't do him any good to stay, which is why I definitely think he'll be leaving this offseason. So that brings up the question of what's next for LeBron James. Now I definitely don't think this is a situation that he's discussed and planned out with anyone like he did with Bosh and Wade. Instead, I think he's going to really have to weigh his options throughout the league. So that's what we're going to look at. Now places like the Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors, and the Boston Celtics have been thrown around a little bit, but I think there's a 0% chance he ends up with any of those teams for obvious reasons that I shouldn't even go into, but just real quick, there's nothing for him on the Heat except nostalgia. The NBA would go bankrupt if he joined the Warriors, and Kyrie went to the Celtics to get away from LeBron. So he's not going to any of those places. But with that being said, the 3 teams that have been suggested the most that I would say he probably does have the best chance of going to are the 76ers, the Lakers, and the Rockets. So let's look at Philly first. Out of these 3 teams, I think Philly's probably the least likely place LeBron would end up. I mean, they definitely have the space to sign him. They have the second most space in the entire league to spend this offseason, right behind the Lakers. And on paper, that looks good. But besides that, I don't know if it makes too much sense. Sure, they'd not only have a big 3 of LeBron 2.0, Joel Embiid, and LeBron James, and they do have the shooters to surround LeBron with. From his time on the Heat, when the roster was made up pretty much entirely of 3-point shooters, we know just how important that is for him. Which is good, but besides that, there's still a really young team, and you gotta ask the question of how would LeBron and young LeBron fit on a team together? They're both ball-dominant players, and I would think that Simmons wouldn't be the best teammate off the ball for LeBron since he still can't shoot, and then Embiid's health is gonna be in question for the next couple of years. And not to mention, they're still gonna have to find a way to either add in Markelle Fultz to the lineup or trade him. So like I said, this one makes sense in terms of money and fitting in with 2 other all-star players, but besides that, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. And then there's the Lakers. Now I'm sure by now everyone knows that the Lakers have the money to sign 2 max players this offseason, to add to the roster of guys like Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Kyle Kuzma. If they do sign 2 max players, they're gonna have to let Julius Randle walk this season, but if they do end up getting LeBron James, there's a pretty huge chance that either Paul George or DeMarcus Cousins does join LA, so it would definitely be worth it. I don't know on this one though, because they either have to sign a few more solid role players, trade a couple other young guys, or just go into the playoffs with a team full of guys with no playoff experience, led by 2 stars. It'd be interesting to see if they blow up their future team to get LeBron all the pieces he needs to win an NBA title right now. But either way, a team of LeBron James and either PG-13 or DeMarcus Cousins could definitely make some noise. I mean, I don't know how far they'd go in the West, but we'd finally get to see LeBron play in a good conference and see if those 8 straight finals were from just playing in the Eastern Conference or not. And recently, a rumor just came out from Adrian Wojnarowski, the man that always has all the inside information on NBA trades, saying that soon Paul George and LeBron James are gonna at least have a discussion about teaming up on the Lakers. Now before all that, if LeBron tries to even go to a team in the West, the NBA is either gonna have to try and block that from happening, or just get rid of conferences altogether right then, because the Western Conference Finals are pretty much gonna be the NBA Finals, with the exception of the Boston Celtics. And then there's the other team from the West in the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are one that's come up a lot recently, and they're the one that would make the most sense for him. Plus, they actually somewhat have the money to sign him. Even with Chris Paul saying he's not gonna sign for anything lower than a max deal, they could still make it work. But they would have to get rid of Ryan Anderson's $20 million contract and let either Eric Gordon or Clint Capella walk. And I'm assuming out of those 2 guys they'd let Gordon go, because Capella was a huge part of what actually made that team work this season. But if they did all that, they wouldn't have much money left for bench players, but they would have a big 3 of Chris Paul, James Harden, and LeBron James. In the past, LeBron's talked about how he wanted to play with Chris Paul one day, so this would be his chance. And then as far as how these guys would fit together on a team, well, CP3's shown this year that he can make any situation work. And even though Harden and James have contrasting styles of play, I'd assume that they could work things out too. If this did go down, then there'd really be no denying the fact that the Western Conference Finals would come down to the Rockets and the Warriors, to see if LeBron and the Rockets could actually beat them this time. And if you ask Chris Bosh, he said that's exactly what's gonna happen. He said it's like an Avengers movie where the Warriors are gonna have 100 superheroes and the Rockets are gonna have 100 superheroes and they're gonna go at it. Now if anyone knows LeBron James and how he thinks, then Chris Bosh is probably up there on that list, so that's important to keep in mind. And then as for LeBron personally right now, this seems like his best chance at beating Golden State. But even with all that being said, I don't know if the fans or even the NBA wants to see this happen. I mean, it'd be a move pretty similar to Durant going to Golden State, and you gotta think it just makes things predictable and the rest of the season pretty pointless. Like I said, the Eastern Conference would be irrelevant and the NBA would just become a place where whoever can get the most stars on one team is who wins the championship. It's already the problem today that LeBron started by going to the Heat in 2010, but now it would just be taken one step further. And a problem like this is a lot easier to start than it is to stop. Teams aren't just going to sit back and let these guys sit at the top of the NBA for the rest of their careers. They're all going to try to put together their own super teams to compete, which is what we're starting to see. Which means a lot more super teams and a lot more bad teams without a star player across the board. So overall, as you can see, there's a lot of pros and cons to this, and there's a lot that's going to go into whatever decision LeBron makes. Not just for his career, but for the entire state of the NBA. So definitely comment your thoughts down below, and I want to know where you guys think LeBron's going to end up. So use the first link in the description for a poll to vote on where you think he's going to sign. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next video.